Kiss me. Oh, so cute, so sweet. Just what I needed this morning. What?
Some tongue action? No?
No, please, no. What? Didn't ask for that.
Wow.
Didn't
Sorry,
pay
no,
for that.
no,
Yeah.
yes. Only for Carol, okay? Nobody else is going to get that treatment. Not even my husband. What?
Oh, good morning.
Moving swiftly on.
Welcome to the Brightside, starting on a very loving note on November. And we're welcoming to the studio delicious guest, Chef Isaac Henry, who is the Director of Culinary and Beverage over at Sofitel City Centre. You might also have seen him in a series called Zero Waste Kitchen, where you talk about how to make use of all the resources in your kitchen and not let it go to waste. Good morning. Welcome, Chef Henry.
Good morning.
Or Chef Isaac. Which one do you want?
Isaac's good.
Okay, Isaac is good. No need to chef all, huh?
Yeah.
I thought it was a sign of respect. You know?
It is, but you know, I respect you as well, and I call you Carol, right?
Oh, sweet.
No,
All right.
it's DJ.
Deej.
Carol.
Sorry. I'm
Okay.
so sorry.
Says DJ Lavinia. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, so Isaac, sustainable dining is a term we hear a lot about these days. It's being thrown around. Can you tell us what the concept of sustainable dining entails?
Sure. I mean, sustainable dining is a really big topic right now. Everybody talks about it, mainly because we're talking about how to be more sustainable while without really changing the way you normally want to work. However, I think to honestly be sustainable, we're going to have to rethink everything that you normally do that you think is normal,
Right.
into something that people don't really know how to do. And I think one of the main things is carbon footprint. We're talking about buying fish from France, having it imported into France as well, some way or another via trucks, and then into a plane, sent into China or Hong Kong, or even sometimes directly to Singapore, but you're paying through your teeth, and
Wow.
then it comes to a restaurant.
Right.
So just this sheer amount of how your fish gets transported is insane. However, in Singapore, we have all of these availabilities, not to the certain standards of a lot of restaurants and what people generally are used to, because buying in and importing food is such a normality here. However, we're trying to do it. I think the 30 by 30 initiative by the government, where 30% of all our food should be readily available to all Singaporeans by 2030, is like a big topic. I think it's just tough that people don't know where they can get food like this, how they can get food like this. And it's not that readily available because there's just not a lot of coverage on this.
So thanks so much for raising the awareness. I think that's something you're trying to do over at Sofitel City Centre, right?
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. So why is it important to the consumer and also a business to be more sustainable?
I think from a consumer's perspective, we're talking about what should be normal, but people don't know. With the expansion of globalization in the world, there's a clear disconnect, right, from consumers purchasing food from actually a supermarket and actually knowing where it came from. I think they don't know that how fish are made, how fish are grown, how fish even live.
Right.
And all they see is the fillet that you get in NTUC, and you buy it and you package it, pay the bill, and you go home and you cook the fish.
Not exactly top of mind when you go shopping or dining, right?
Right.
Like, where is this fish from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
However, I think it really matters, because if you really know how long it took, for example, for a fish to grow, it took 4 years for that fillet to reach this size, it changes everything. A life was given. You should respect it as much as you can. And I think the best way is, if people just asked more questions about where the food comes from, they can actually then rethink how they want to use it, instead of throwing away the bones or not even purchasing it. In some places, you'd maybe want to buy it. You'd want to buy it. You want to make a soup out of it because it's hard-earned money. It's people's time. It's effort. It's so many things. And I think this is just an unanswered question that people don't ask.
You see when you are looking for a place to eat, so many restaurants, F&B outlets, they will, and I don't know whether brag is the right word, but they'll say air flown in, freshly brought in every day or every other day. That's the marketing ploy.
Yes.
That is something, I can see that look on your face. I mean, how do you then talk about the establishment within the business? Because they thrive on this.
This is what they use as a unique selling point for
Right.
themselves. We, on the other hand, have gone super local.
Right.
And Sofitel Singapore does this thing where we do not say this. We say it's locally sourced. sustainably sourced from local shores, local farms, local places. And this is our unique selling point.
Okay.
And I think it's a little bit tough to really just talk about people that say, okay, flown in from Hokkaido or something like this. It's a really tough point because people want that Hokkaido uni. They want that Hokkaido.
Because you think you're getting quality, right?
Exactly. It's the generalization of what people think. Oh, okay, Japan has like the best fish in the world. I mean, to be fair, they probably do. They really do. However, Singapore's coming up. We're really trying. We're building farms. We're trying to replicate as much as we can internally to be able to support this want from people that want quality, that want preservation of species, all of these sorts of things. And I think it's a possibility.
Right.
But we can start now.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, just a quick follow-up on that. Surely, if the provenance of your food is from within your shores or within your area, it brings the costs down for not only you guys, but the consumer.
Good point.
This is such a good point.
And we're supporting local businesses at the same time.
So I mean, everyone's kind of a winner, right?
Exactly. Win-win-win situation.
Okay.
Only thing you might lose on is instead of getting that hamachi sashimi, you're going to be eating maybe red snapper sashimi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
Exactly.
You never know. You
Try
might
it
like
out.
it, right?
Exactly.
All right. Coming up shortly, we're also going to be talking about how we can be more resourceful and more efficient in our home kitchens as well. Chef's going to give us a couple of examples on what things should not be thrown away or going to waste. That's coming up shortly. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/913.
Whole new world of Disney.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have Chef Isaac Henry in the studio, and he is the director of Culinary and Beverage over at Sofitel City Centre. You've been around as well, yeah, Chef? Which other restaurants have we perhaps seen you at?
Previously, 67 Pall Mall, which is a members-only wine club. Right before that, we were at one group running Stella, Summer House.
Summer House. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you this? When did this whole idea of wanting to be more sustainable, in terms of your cooking and all that, when did it really start for you?
Wow, this is a tough question. I think it's been part of a journey.
Okay.
And it's not been just one day I've woken up and said, okay, this is the direction that I want to go in. But it's also not someone who's imposed their own thoughts on me. So not a lot of the people that I've worked with have had this viewpoint, and I think have driven very far in as far as I've gone, at least. However, I think it's just from viewing how the world is working and how it's changing day by day. I think this has been a big step for me to motivate myself to be able to learn more ways and create an understanding for people to know about food waste and how we can manage it.
I think it's kind of like, heartening to see that I think more people are aware of it. They may not completely be doing anything about it, but they're more aware of it. And I think they're also kind of making more informed choices, better choices. So definitely you are kickstarting it, especially with your TV series, Zero Waste Kitchen.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing what you can do with the stuff. Because a lot of the times we throw away cans of food, packets of food, thinking, we're looking at the expiry date. Maybe not safe. Maybe certain kinds of food really ought to be thrown away. But so how do we preserve some of these things that perhaps still have a little bit more in them?
So this is an interesting topic because, of course, when it's expired, the general idea, like you mentioned, is to throw it away. However, if you watch the show, it talks about how you can use these three things: see it, smell it, and taste it. And I think if you look at it and it looks all funky and there's mold growing on it, obviously, please throw it away. However, if it looks good and then you smell it, you open it up, you look at the smell, it smells pretty good, it doesn't smell rank or rancid, try cooking it, process it in the way that you would normally process it, and then obviously eat it. It tastes a bit sour, it tastes bad, it doesn't taste like that baked beans that you normally would have. Of course, please throw it away. But these are the easiest way to ever tell when staple foods are going to be expired or not.
Because it's funny that most people, they're not aware of the fact that there is expiry dates and there's also best before dates.
Yes, best use by dates. And I mean, if you think about it, right, it's not a singular date that food says today I am super healthy and tomorrow, please don't eat me, you will die.
Right.
It's a very different. It's a game where it's the best before that specific date, and after that date, it tends to start going downwards. And I think generally people would be able to still use it when it's available for them.
It's just an advisory guideline, isn't it?
Exactly.
There's always that leeway that you can use. Yeah.
But knowing when food is really expired is very important as well. At Sofitel, what's great is we don't really waste a lot of things, mainly because we don't really over-order. We make sure our stock is always kept in check. But another big thing that we do is to do the first in, first out. So this is a simple technique. Yeah.
Yes.
So for example, let's say at home even you could do this, right? You're talking about buying baked beans. Let's say you use Heinz baked beans. You have 2 cans at home. You normally are comfortable if you have 4 cans. You go to the shop, you buy 2 more. What do?
Use the first ones.
Exactly. Use the ones that you already have in the back shelf, pull it forward, put the new ones in the back, and that's rotating cycle stock.
I always forget to do that.
Yeah, I'm just astounded that we're talking to a high-level chef here, and he keeps bringing up baked beans.
His comfort food.
Some foods are classic.
You know
man.
what? I totally dislike baked
Me
beans.
too! That's why I was like, why are we talking about baked beans a lot?
Chef, we have a question from a listener on the sustainable farmed food and whether or not we can afford it. Do you mind if we go on air and answer that question?
Sure.
Because he brings up a good point. You know, it can be quite costly because you're supporting, although it's here in our backyard, somehow the prices are always inflated. Why?
I think...
Okay, hold that thought.
Okay.
We're going back on air. Okay. Zero Waste Kitchen. We did have a question online on Facebook earlier.
Yes, Mr. G has said this. Regarding sustainable food, when people do grow their own food and rear animals, they usually use every part of the veg and animal because they respect the process and effort that they put in. Nowadays, it's all in the supermarket. So, I mean, what is it? Nose to tail?
Nose to tail dining, yeah.
I mean, I still kind of get my head around that. I'm not quite comfortable with it, but so I guess that's sustainable, right?
It's funny because that's the direction that we're driving Racine's, which is at Sofitel, towards. By March next year, we'd have a new menu that actually reverts the way we think about food to convert it to a nose-to-tail dining situation.
Nice.
By nose-to-tail, of course, if people don't really know it, I'll explain a little bit. It's basically when you use every part of the entire animal, vegetable, cow, whatever you want, and any produce, basically. If you talk about a carrot, you talk about the leaves of a carrot, the stem of a carrot, the top of a carrot, the skin, the middle section, the actual edible part that you normally would eat, and even the roots of the carrot. Obviously, it already is a root, but generally it branches out into tinier roots, which is super tasty, by the way, if you fry them. If you collect enough of them, scrape it out, and you fry them, they're super tasty.
Isaac, I can live with that, but like hooves, I don't know.
Hooves, interesting. So actually, it makes good bone broth. If you talk about hooves, there's tons of calcium, there's tons of collagen. If you talk about pork trotter soup, what is a trotter? You're literally talking about the legs and the calves, the hooves of a cow.
Yeah.
With a bit of toe jam. Lovely.
You're talking to a Peranakan lady, an Asian. I eat every part, man. Pig trotters. Oh, yeah, give it.
Respect. This is the part where everyone thinks, oh my god, it's totally new. It's really not. If you think about your old mom and dad recipes, you think about Peranakan food, you think, even Chinese, what is that dish that they make with the soy sauce?
Kway chap and all that.
Yeah. It's all innards, it's intestines, it's liver, it's kidney, it's all of these things. It's tripe, right? Of course,
drooling away here, Lavinia.
I think this targets very specific people, the amount of people that generally would revert towards food like this.
It's probably been associated with certain cuisines, not so much for the general populace who's dining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're saying it can be made into delicious food.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep. It does take quite a bit of creativity in the kitchen.
It does indeed. Yeah. Hey, chime on in with your questions, your comments. Actually, we're going back on Facebook Live, and we're going to share this question from Alun about, is it as affordable, the sustainably farmed food? We're going to take that question with Chef Isaac. feedback on our Facebook Live. Remember, chime on in and it could win for you a wonderful facial treatment from BioLab.
Oh, Alun, thank you for your question. Alun.
Yes.
He's asking, so is it as affordable, the sustainability of farmed food? You know, the real sustainability question that common folks like me ask on a daily basis. Can I afford to eat fish that comes from a farm from our backyard that's sustainable?
This is tough because there's two options, right? If you buy from overseas, they're buying in such mass quantity that they undercut all the pricing. So they sell it to you in the supermarket. You buy a Norwegian salmon that's flown in from Norway. You're talking about buying it for maybe like $6 for 100 grams or something. However, if you farm it in Singapore, you're probably going to pay maybe $1 more, and that's mainly because Singapore doesn't have land. We are struggling with electricity pricing. Everything costs a lot of money to run in Singapore, which is also why generally farms try to move into the open waters of Singapore, working in the local, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's Kelong.
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 Yes. I always get it confused with Longkang, which
No. You don't want to be eating in a longkang, no.
You know.
So it's the Kelongs that generally do most of the farming. However, there are some farms now growing inland farming, so they're trying to do a vertical fish farming style technique, which is very, very interesting. It's probably going to be the first of its kind in the world. There's one farm in particular that's going to work and do this, which is called Atlas Aquaculture. And the way that they're rechanging how food generally gets made is crazy. If they do it properly, I don't think we would ever complain that it's too expensive.
Maybe the way to see it is that, I mean, it's great that you're explaining about, you know, the cost involved to have it done locally, but maybe it's the idea that see it as an investment for our future of the planet Earth, you know, for your future generations, your own, you know, kids and their kids.
Agreed.
I know it's $1 more, like I'm trying to move towards, you know, better sustainable options, even like organic, you know, is this better for the planet? It's painful when the bill comes and you're like, you know, but I'm saying like, you know, it's good for my family, it's good for the community, it's good for the environment, let's do it. Worthwhile investment.
So for those who don't or can't spend on organic, for example, what are things within the kitchen that they currently have that what are some examples of zero waste kitchen? You know, what could you do at home, your kitchen staples that could be put to good use?
So, simplest things that you could do really is, for example, you always have trimmings from vegetables, right?
Right.
We're talking about the top parts of the carrot. You're talking about the skins of an onion. I'm not sure what else. Garlic skins, garlic peels.
The skins are good?
Garlic skin?
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Keep it all, right? So what I normally do is we stockpile them. Obviously, in one time's cooking session, it doesn't generate that much. But the easiest thing is put it in a bag, put it in the freezer.
Okay.
Once you have about, let's say, 0.5 kilogram of food scraps, put it into a pot, fill it up with water.
Broth.
Exactly. A super simple vegetable broth.
You can get so much flavor just from the garlic skins?
So much.
Oh,
wow.
Cook it on a low simmer for about 2 hours. You should end up with this super rich broth. Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
Wow, I like that.
And for a secret tip, if you char them, you have a blowtorch at home or you have a little burner.
I do.
Char them a little bit, put them in, super umami bone
Oh,
wow.
Like because that's the rage now, the umami. Butter. I love that. And you can mix it up. You can do like, you know,
whatever
your
you want.
garlic and your
Beetroots,
onions.
Beetroot.
Oh my goodness.
Beetroot skins.
Yeah, because those bits always get thrown away so easily. And for those of us who have large families.
In fact, I mean, we have a quick comment here from Lindsay who says, I totally agree with Chef. I get really bothered with people who throw away the stems of broccoli.
Me too. It's super tasty.
They just go for the florets, and there's so much.
What a waste.
Yeah.
What? You can eat the stem?
Oh my god!
I make my kids eat it. Yeah.
And you keep the florets.
No, I mean I eat it, and I make them. I'm trying to teach them.
Okay.
You know.
But to be fair, sometimes it's got to do with whether or not it's cooked right. Sometimes it's just so hard.
Sure.
It's so too crunchy, and it's like
okay. So Chef,
What
to
would I
combat
do?
that? Yeah.
Let's say you talk about a broccoli, right? You peel off all your florets. You have these beautiful florets. Keep them aside. For the stem part, I recommend peeling back 1 or 2 layers. So use your peeler, just pull it back a few layers. All of these, what do? Keep them in a bag, save them for trimmings to make stock. However, you have that now beautiful middle section. Cut that up into however you want, cubes, chunks, even like a fine brunoise, which is like a little cube. And then you cook it together. It adds itself back to the dish. You're not wasting that bottom part. The actual part that you paid for in the market, broccoli is not that expensive. However, if you think about how much broccoli you would probably eat in a lifetime and the amount of waste you would generate, that should be enough to change your mindset on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So how else can we apply this concept of zero waste kitchen at home? What are some other things that you get creative with in your own kitchen, perhaps?
So simplest things are, of course, we talked about expired foods. We talked about making vegetable broth. Right. However, one of the things that people probably get a bit freaked out on would be fish guts.
Fish guts.
Fish guts.
Yeah, the stuff you throw away, right?
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Tell me, what do you do?
You can make fish garam.
What's fish garam?
So, it's basically fish sauce.
Oh.
If you think about Thai fish sauce, you use it in a lot of Thai food.
Yeah.
Right. How do you get that? It's basically fermenting fish guts with a little bit of salt and a little bit of liquid. Sounds disgusting. However, that result is astounding. It would blow your mind. You could easily do this.
Okay, can you share that with us on air?
Yeah.
All right, we're just jumping back live in just a bit. Elton John and Sacrifice here on 1FM 91.3 Good Times Greatest Hits. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Brightside. We are chatting with Chef Isaac Henry this morning and we're live on Facebook. He is the Director of Culinary and Beverage over at Sofitel City Centre. We are learning so much on Facebook about how you can actually create a zero waste kitchen at home with things like your garlic skins, your onions and all that. Don't throw it away.
Yeah, don't make that sacrifice.
I was going to say, these songs are spot on right now.
Right.
Yeah. We're learning how you can actually collect all these garlic skins, onion peels, put it in a bag, put it in your freezer, collect it, and then turn it into a broth when you have a sufficient amount.
Which makes a lot of sense. And then you went somewhere else, which I don't think many of us would have thought about. You're talking about fish guts.
Yes, very much so. Everyone has their own ideas of what fish guts is. General consensus I can take it's disgusting.
Yeah, Shehzad and me have
right
this face. It's like, what?
Not really.
I don't have the guts for it. So how do you?
The easiest thing you could do, coat it with a bit of salt. There's recipes online everywhere. Just look up fish garum, Garum.
Okay.
Right. It's basically fermented fish guts. If you have fish bones, throw it in there. I have one at home right now that's been fermenting for about 2.5 years.
Say what?
Yep. And I still use it in my food every now and then at home.
Don't bring that on a plane. What's the smell like?
Better than durian.
Oh my goodness. Better than
that's not
durian.
hard. I agree.
Okay.
I'll take fish guts over durian. Yeah.
How do you eat it?
So basically it stews, right? It starts fermenting the first few days, first few weeks. It's probably going to get a little bit bubbly, a little bit fermented. However, it calms down.
Okay.
And then the fermentation process starts breaking down the fish guts, fish bones, even fish flesh that's stuck to the bones and the guts. And it creates this beautiful liquid that's super tasty, is a little bit salty, but so rich in nutrition, flavor profile. It's amazing.
Wait, the one you have at home has been fermenting for 2.5 years. I mean, how do you preserve it? Do you need to resalt it? No,
it's
just leave it on
in
its
a
own
jar.
thing.
Yeah,
in the fridge,
room temperature,
on my counter.
What?
Wow.
In Singapore's heat, that's where you leave it.
Perfect temperature.
I would just start a bottle of this fish garam so that I can say, calm down. Because, he's saying okay, it's going to start to bubble for the first few days. After that, it calms down. So I'll be like, calm down. It tastes
and then
good.
it stops.
Wow. So, sorry, this one bunch of fish guts has lasted you 2.5 years.
Yes, I think it was about 1 kilogram of fish guts.
Wow.
I've started using it maybe about after a year of fermenting. And it's lasted me now about 1.5 years.
Should have asked you to bring some just to taste.
I'm curious now.
It's stunning.
Wait, how are you eating it on its own?
Yeah.
You're putting it in dishes?
A dish that I used it for recently. I made shepherd's pie at home.
No, and you use fish garam.
Fish guts.
What?
Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Fish guts?
It's fermented fish.
Okay.
Yeah, they use the guts, they use everything, they process everything, they throw it in there. Thai fish sauce, if you ever made
love Thai fish sauce.
krapao or something like this at home, tons of that go in. What is that? It's basically fermented fish.
Oh my god.
They use the guts, they use the fish, they use anchovies normally.
Can I ask this? The fish garam that you have made, right? It has to be cooked?
No, I mean, I've eaten it straight out of the bottle. But you're talking about fish that's been sitting in salty, briny liquid, right? So it's completely preserved. Nothing's going to want to come to it. It stays completely safe.
Oh, I see. You meant the fish guts itself. Were they from a cooked fish or from a raw fish? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's the sauce itself that is generated. Must it be cooked? You know, use it in a cooked dish, or you can use it in salads and stuff like that. You could, like a salad sauce kind of.
Chef, my mind is blown. Okay, I didn't know we could do that. Like, seriously. One last question for you this morning. What are 3 easy things that the consumer can do at home to cut down on food waste?
So, another thing I'd like to talk about is fish. Everybody eats a lot of it. I think what you could do is keep the scales on the fish.
Okay.
Another cool topic, right?
Actually, I've tried that. You prepared a fish that had scales on, and it was amazing.
Oh, you deep fried it, right?
Not even.
Oh, what?
So instead of deep frying it, obviously it's super unhealthy, right? We try to make it a little bit healthier. We baste it with tons of hot oil. So basting is a process where you keep it over a rack. You generally pour over hot oil. Oil that's sitting at about 200 degrees, touching the scales of this fish, tends to puff it up, almost like puffed rice. So it sort of creates this crispy potato chip-like texture on top of the fish, while keeping that beautiful soft fillet texture at the bottom of the fish.
I've had that before. I didn't realize it was basting.
Wow.
I didn't realize that.
Okay.
I didn't even know you could eat fish scales till a couple of months ago. I mean, Chef Isaac is just blowing my mind in so many levels. So fish scales, fish guts, we definitely a lot to explore in the kitchen, and preserving some of these bits of vegetables that we normally throw away as well.
Exactly.
All right, Chef Isaac, where can people find you? How can they learn more about what you do?
So, of course, I mean, if you really, really want to experience food waste and see how it can be repurposed into actual edible food, come down to Sofitel Singapore City Centre, pay me a visit, look for me, ask for me. I'm always around somewhere, and we do our best to try to limit our food waste.
I'm slightly disappointed you didn't bring a chocolate chip cookie in a skillet, which he does very, very well. Okay, that one confirms zero waste, okay? No crumbs left on this dish. All right, Chef Isaac Henry, thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Brightside.
1FM 91.3.
Good times. Greatest hits. 1FM 91.3.